minutes. So I'm going to forego all the formality except for one. Let's give God a hand clap of praise for the angel of First Baptist Church. You've been surely diligent. They all give God some praise for the man of God who has seen fit over his house. Pastor Josh, be heard. Amen. Thank you for inviting me. I hope you'll invite me again. But if you don't, you will remember. Wimp, nerd, lame, mafia, Cosa Nostra, Illuminati, liberal, conservative, patriarchy, matriarchy, Greek, GDI, gender identity, oligarchy. All of these are just words, you all. These words are designed to segregate us. They are designed to distract us from what we're really supposed to be doing. Because when we get hung up on the minors, we miss the major issues of the day. They even keep us from maintaining any sense of personal responsibility. Because I'll use as an excuse, you ain't one of us. So when we recognize that it's just the left hand trying to keep the right hand from knowing what it's doing, we got an old phrase that defines this clearly. It's simply the Okey Doke. Look at your neighbor, say it. It's the Okey Doke. We don't have time to get hung up on these little things. We're not going to get into all of this economic class warfare, amen? Because it's as if you think it never existed, it always has. Let's give God some praise for all these young people who've been leading us today, showing us they are not the leaders of the future, but they are the leaders of right now. We've got to stop using future tense and past tense in our conversation. There are no future leaders and there are no past leaders. There are only leaders right now. And there are only followers right now. There are no future teachers and there are no past teachers. There are only learners and educators right now. And so we stand right here at a precipice, at a critical juncture in our history, trying to figure out what are we supposed to do on this MLK weekend as we honor a man who was not a perfect man, but a good man. Honor a man who was not a rich man, but he was rich in friends. We're faced with this defining moment, and instead of looking to see who's going to do it, recognize you've been called to do it. We must understand where we are in the pantheon of time. For time doesn't wait on anyone. So the question is, are you going to ride the wave, or are you going to sit on the shore and say, look at it, look at it, look at it? Because a lie cannot overcome the truth unless the truth doesn't express itself. And fear cannot overcome faith unless your faith is not activated. So what made Martin Luther King such a great man? He wasn't rich. He wasn't even liked. Amen? I know y'all said, oh, everybody loved Dr. King. No, they didn't. On April 4th, 1968, he was the most hated man in America by whites and blacks. So before you start tripping because you think you got the market corner, understand folks didn't like it. He agitated and stirred up things. We ain't got to go far. He had great victory in Birmingham, and then he went to Albany with the same strategy, and his own people turned on him. So let's not trip about that. And if you're wondering why you got to do it now, it's because there's always work to do. There's always work to do. You say, this ought to be done. Who told you that? I don't care what generation you're in. I don't care what century you're in. There's always good and there's always evil. You need to understand something. The Okey Doke is still in effect. Even on the way out, folks trying to get you hung up on a word called oligarch. Don't get me wrong, y'all. Don't get me wrong. But rich people, there's always been titans of industry. Rich people trying to influence things. There's always been people behind the scenes. And you ain't got to go national. You got folks local behind the scenes trying to tell the folks out front what to do. Amen? And so influential people, powerful people, have one thing that they hang their hat on. They hope you never activate your faith. We live in a time where they're telling you that you shouldn't have faith in anything. Don't believe in the leaders. Don't believe in the Lord. Don't believe in your family. Don't believe in your community. Don't believe in this person. Don't believe in that person. But if you activate your faith, they know that there's not enough money in the world to stop your cause. If you activate your faith, they know that there's not enough machinery and weaponry involved to stop what's happening. They may have killed the dreamer, but they did not kill the dream. You see, it's greater than money. It is greater than might. It's greater than weaponry. The cause that we fight is just and it's real. And it's for us to fight today. But we can't fight it with conventional weapons. We can't fight and talk about, well, let's put your money together and your money together. Money ain't the thing that's going to solve the problem. And it's not going to be resolved because you got this many folk and you got that many folk. That's not what's going to resolve it. What's going to resolve it is moral authority, spiritual power. I'm just an old Baptist preacher, and I tell you a simple thing. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities, spiritual forces, wickedness that are working in high places. Well, I only got a minute or so left. You need to understand that you have the ability to be a champion right now. So you may want to ask yourself this, is there a challenge? Yes, there's a challenge. Because Dr. King said these three great evils continue to persist. Poverty, bigotry, and war. I don't care where you are, I don't care where you look, whether it's international or just down your street. There's poverty, there's bigotry, and there's war. And as long as those evils persist and good people do not say anything, they will appear to be victorious. But evil can't prevail over good. No. A lie cannot prevail over the truth. And fear-mongering cannot overcome my faith. You can take all my money, I'll still believe. You can take all my property, I'll still believe. You can take all my clothes, I'll still believe. So is there a challenge? Yes, there's a challenge. But is there a calling? Of course there's a calling. Why? You wouldn't be here if there wasn't a calling. It might have appeared to be an invitation. That's a call. It might have appeared to be you came to see a certain someone. That's a call. The question is, what are you called to do in this day, in this hour, in this moment? Well then, here's the question then. Is there a champion? Too many people are looking to the past for a current day champion. Too many people projecting on the future. One day, you're going to be the champion. You're going to be the champion. There's only one time that matters. Right now. Is there a champion in the room? Is there a champion that will stand up and be the name on a lawsuit against injustice in the county? Is there a champion who will stand up and in spite of people cutting services and cutting financing for certain programs in our community, will someone still say, I'll feed them, I'll clothe them, I'll shelter them? See, you keep looking for someone else to be the champion, and God has called you to be the champion. And you might just be the champion for one somebody. You might be the champion for 100 somebody. You might be the champion for 10,000 somebody. But whatever the calling is, you be that. Is there a champion for the future? Everybody in here is a champion for the future.